So now that we have a material on our plane and our chair, we're going to put a light and a camera in the scene and then render it out. So we're going to first start off by going up here to Create and go to Lights, Standard Lights, and we're going to do an MR area spot. MR stands for mental ray, and that's what we changed our renderer to earlier. So if we go to our top screen here, just click once and hold. So you've essentially placed the light, and now we're going to place the direction of the light, and we're going to put that right here on our object. We're not really seeing much here because our light is so low, so what we're going to do is we're going to raise this up like that. So it looks a bit better, and we're going to grab where it's pointing right here, and we're also going to bring that up so it hits the chair there. We'll move these so we can see these a bit better. Great. Now, so if you're not getting these shadows, if you hit where it says realistic next to camera 1 or whatever is in here, it could be on shaded, which does not show the lighting, or consistent colors shows a little something different, or but we're just gonna keep it on realistic for right now, and that we're doing lighting. So we're gonna click on our light here, and we're gonna go up here to the modifier tab, and right now we have the modifier highlighted. We're gonna leave this on spot. You can change the light here to omni. That means it goes in all directions. Directional, that's almost like a cylinder of the light, and then a spot to the cone lighting. So we're gonna leave it on that for now. We're just gonna leave everything the same. If you come down here where it says intensity, this is where you can make the lamp lighter or darker, or you can even change the color of the lamp. So you can give it, a reddish feel, or even any color you want. We're gonna leave it as is. And if you come down to spotlight parameters, you can increase the size of the lamp. Notice there's two. There's this outside one and there's this inside one. The inside one is the hot spot. So notice how when I increase and decrease that, changes the brightest part. And this is just the fall off. This is where the light falls from. So we're gonna make that a bit bigger. We'll keep the hotspot pretty small. And there's also the attenuation. So that shows you the depth in which the light is going. So you have the first level and the far level, so near and far. So notice if you increase this, that will increase the brightness on your object. And then the fall off. So notice if you bring it up here, the light doesn't go very far. If you increase, it'll go farther. So we're just gonna leave that as is. We're not gonna worry about any of this other stuff for now. So right now, this is giving us a preview of what our final render will look like. To get a better example of what it will look like, if we hit F9 on your keyboard, that will render out a much more accurate image that we'll be looking at. So notice how the textures are much cleaner. You can actually see the bump map. You don't see the bump map in this. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put a camera in our scene. Oh, I apparently already have one. So I'm going to remove that. So to place a camera in your scene, if you go to create again, come down to cameras, go to target camera. Again, like creating the light, you just drag and drop. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this camera up and we're gonna click on its target and we're gonna bring that onto the chair itself. So we have that right onto the chair. And if you click here on perspective, or you can do it on any one of your windows, we're gonna do camera. Actually, we'll do this on a different one. Go like this, camera 1. Right now we're looking at the wireframe view, but if you click on wireframe, we go to realistic, that's what the camera will be seeing. So if you hit Shift F on your camera key, that will show you the perspective that the camera has. Now we're looking at a standard kind of definition or aspect ratio here. So to fix that, we're going to go to rendering, render setup, or F10. We're going to change the width and height. So we'll do 1920, 1080. That's a more common aspect ratio nowadays. And we will move this camera, give a bit nicer of a perspective. So notice how you can create an animation and making very smooth movements. But we'll put the camera here, and if you hit F9, see what that looks like. So what it's doing right now is it's rendering, which means it's essentially calculating how the light is hitting the chair. It's calculating all the materials that we put on our objects. It's calculating how the light affects the bump map shader on the material. It's calculating all of these things. So that looks pretty good. So I think this looks like a pretty good render. So we're going to save it out. So if you come up here and you hit this little button, save image, we'll call this chair. You can choose the file format, JPEG, TIFF. We'll just do a JPEG, save, with the highest quality. And there's other things that, I mean, you can view in the render itself. Another way to save an image, if you go to rendering, render setup, you scroll down here to render output, hit files, and we can select the desktop again. We'll do chair, JPEG, and hit save. From overwriting, yes. Choose the same things, and then hit render here, and make sure the view is on camera 1. Then we'll hit render. Yes. And that's another way to save. So that's my tutorial on the basics of 3ds Max.